It's time to leave your cinematic troubles behind. Let the takes flow through you. And let the noise from the zeitgeist subside. Welcome to Cast Against Type.
Welcome to Cast Against Type.
If you're going to do the voice, do the voice.
I'm your host, Elmo Frost, and I think that we need to talk about the cinema information space. Frankly, I don't think anybody should be allowed to talk about cinema information space unless they can afford to go to space.
Oh. You've been really practicing this Elmo Frost
I've been
voice.
Elmo Pill. You know, I actually don't know what his accent or his voice is.
That's a good point. I would bet if you asked anybody on the street to do an Elmo Frost impression,
I mean, I know
nobody would know.
I know he's South African, but he
doesn't have this
himself of that. So.
He doesn't do this the typical South African accent though.
Is this an Elon Musk
Yes.
variant?
This is the Elon Musk Roundup Hour.
Well, she meant the name Elmo Frost.
Oh, well, yes. So I guess you weren't on that episode. We decided that Elmo Frost would be a good Bond villain name, and then we also determined that it was probably the perfect nom de plume for old Elon himself.
Like if he was a Bond villain, that would be his name, 100%.
Totally. Anyway, welcome to Cast Against Type. I am your host, Colin J. Dixon. I am joined by also host Matthew Steven Frank.
Hello.
We shanghaied, we highway robbed our third co-host. She had no idea that she was going to be joining
Literally
us for this.
10 minutes before we hit record.
And frankly, I prefer it that way because it's kind of a little bit of man on the street. But welcome back to the show, popular addition to one of our earlier episodes, Ms. Natalie Lucaccini.
Hit the applause.
Terrified to be here.
No, not that one.
That works. I'm used to it.
Not the one. There we go. My God.
Woo! She's here. Get used to it.
I'm
All
glad.
right.
I'm glad that you like that you prefer that we Shanghai our guests because that's clearly what the guest wants.
I don't prefer
I
it.
literally packed activities to do.
I saw you had a book.
I had a book. I brought photos to import.
It will be fun.
I almost brought my knitting.
I just want you to weigh in. I want you to kind of officiate, I guess, is what I prefer. Because occasionally we go off the rails on the show, and we need a little bit of outside.
He's like a referee.
We need a little bit of refereeing, don't you think? Especially when we say dumb shit. I mean, granted, we are the preeminent white guy cinematic universe podcast, so naturally there's very little that
white
we can
guy
do.
universe.
Yeah, so there's very little that we can do wrong. And although we did have to relent that there are other cinema pods that exist out there, even though we are the first.
Could I ask who would be the Avengers of the white guy universe?
The Avengers of
Would
the
it be
white guy
Chet
universe?
Hanks would have to be on it. Yeah.
Well, definitely.
Chet Hanks?
Yeah, he's like white guy summer,
Oh,
right?
white boy summer.
White boy summer. He's like Captain America of the white boy.
I guess in a similar vein, I
universe.
would have said Fred Durst. I feel like but you can't have you have to have one or the other. You can't have both. Let's see, white guy universe. I feel Phil Collins would be in there.
Of course, you would say Phil Collins.
Now, why do you say that?
You know why I would say that. And
Now
then you're
this-
going to go,
okay.
I don't even like Phil Collins. But out of all the white guys that you could have chosen, without hesitation, Phil Collins.
Like Phil
comes
Collins
in.
over Sting.
Now
Sting wouldn't be on it?
you're leaving our audience in the dark. First of all, this is a running joke between my dear wife and I, where she forever and ever loves to put it out there to the world
Phil Collins is great.
that I'm some kind of a Phil
He's a rock
Collins
icon.
I think
fantastic
I think I
drummer.
can name one album, which is No Jacket Required. I don't know the rest. I know he was on Genesis. That's about it.
Yeah, Genesis is great.
That's all I know. You know more than I do.
I'm just saying, I think you have a healthy respect for him that you haven't fully explored, maybe.
I put him on the White Guy Avengers because I think that he represents the whitest of the white.
He'd be like a Bruce Banner.
So Phil Collins is on the White Guy
Phil
Avengers.
Collins and Chet Hanks so far.
Chet Hanks.
And
Who else?
Fred Durst, right?
Well, no, because we can't have Chet and Fred.
They're really different, though. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
No,
fair.
no,
They
no,
would
no,
butt
no, no.
heads.
It's like
For
having the Gray Hulk and the Green Hulk. I don't know what the difference is.
You need like a really bland white guy, though.
Okay.
Who maybe isn't.
Well, so
like
Paul Bettany?
Elon would probably be on the white. No, but Elon, I feel like
Elon
would be. He'd be like a villain to the
You
white.
need like
guy
a dad.
You do need a dad. Would Bryan Cranston? No, he's too.
No,
he's too cool.
Kirk Douglas, if he was still
Well, no
alive.
one said that the white guy Avengers had to be lame. I mean,
It kind of goes with the name.
sounds like racism to me.
How many Avengers are there?
I don't know.
No,
12,
there's tons of
20.
them now.
Jesus Christ,
yeah,
we got a
which
lot. We got a
which
lot of
iteration?
white guys to narrow this
We'll
down.
come back to
for.
this.
At the end of the
If
end of
anybody-
the fucking movie, there's like 20 of those portals that they all come out. Are
We-
they all Avengers? Are they just friends of the?
Let's agree that we all have carte blanche to yell out
Like
a
Phil
white
Nicholson,
name.
could he be on it? He's
Who?
Phil, the
The
golfer.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that feels right.
He's the Hawkeye, or the Hawkeye. He's
he
no,
hot?
that's right. No, that feels right. Phil Nicholson feels right. I feel like you need some kind of a tech asshole. I guess you would. So then, in lieu of Elon, I guess it'd be like Mark Zuckerberg
Or Steve Jobs. I mean,
But those are all
No,
villains.
He did.
All
He
the
is
tech
only-
white bros are the villains of the.
No,
white
I agree. I
Avengers.
agree. They're the what's the anti-justice league?
It's Injustice.
Okay,
League,
so
isn't
they're
it?
the Injustice League, and we're trying. Well, now we're mixing.
Justice League of
now
Doom
we're
or
mixing
whatever. We're
comic,
going off the rails.
comic
Listen,
labels.
if anybody has a white guy Avenger nomination throughout this episode, just yell it out.
Yeah,
We'll
actually,
know what
this
you're
is
talking
this
about.
is a perfect call for engagement.
And
You know, and we often call for engagement, and we are, you know, our legions of fans often engage in such multitudinous numbers that we can't keep up with all the replies. But maybe just if a handful of you want to, you know, submit your
I
white
meant
guy.
I meant
Avengers.
us while we're recording. If we think
I
of
have
one, we
one
can yell
more.
it. Go ahead.
Okay,
does Tom Brokaw?
he did.
Who cares?
I mean,
yeah.
it's
What are the
comic books. They
boundaries
can always
here?
come
Yeah.
back.
Okay, well, Brokaw's not bad.
You can be in the Cave of Wonders or whatever it's called.
Yes.
Speaking of white
Cave of Wonders.
people, I saw this, and I wanted to save it for this opening segment because I was astonished by it. So let me pull it up.
Oh my god, he's bringing his computer over. Okay, so I got it looks like a one sheet or it looks like a
It's a
one
poster
sheet
for a movie called
poster.
Paris Has Fallen. And
Okay.
above it, it says a Canal Plus original series based on the Has Fallen movies.
Okay, well, so the frogs are gonna do their own Has Fallen film.
I don't think I'm familiar with the Has
movies
Fallen.
is a thing.
Oh well, so Natalie's not familiar with the Has Fallen franchise.
It's a Gerard Butler series.
Let me be clear. I think I understand without seeing what might be going on in all of them, but
My thing is, so it's a Gerard Butler one. There was Olympus Has Fallen, and then there was
Olympus Has Fallen.
yeah, we're just gonna go through
London
every
Has
major.
Fallen.
Yeah,
Everything
New
has
Delhi will be next.
and it's less about that they're extending it to every place.
there
I
was,
get that, but they're calling
Akron Has Fallen.
they're calling the franchise the Has Fallen.
Boise Has
Franchise.
Fallen. Okay, well, first of all,
Why try and be clever when easy work fine?
also the whole conceit of those films is that X has fallen.
If everything falls, then they're just going to go through every city now.
Well, yeah, so it's all the cities. Eventually, they're going to have to get. It's like Des Moines has fallen. Bakersfield has
There's
fallen.
a lot of Springfields. There's going to be like
Ton of
7
Springfields,
Springfields have fallen.
There's
Well,
going to be
that raises a good question. Which Paris is it?
yeah.
Paris,
Is it Paris,
Illinois?
Texas? Because you know
yeah,
what?
Paris,
That'd
Texas.
be great
Hey,
if it was
yeah.
Paris.
Paris, Texas. I'm going to throw it out there right now. Even if we got listeners there, you know what? Go ahead and fall.
Until Paris has risen. Paris, Texas has risen.
Is there
back.
is there a cities has risen franchise as well?
Not yet.
I'm glad that France, they got their own Olympics,
Texas, you mean?
and now Texas, they got their own podcaster that was worth $600 million or whatever the fuck, and now they got their own Has Fallen series. But yeah, speaking of, okay, I gotta say, I just brought up the Olympics, and I didn't want to go here because actually we were on our way up here. Yeah,
Up here.
up is fair.
North.
Before we came here, I saw a little article that proclaimed that good old Reagan has gotten herself
I thought you meant
Some-
Reagan. But Reagan.
good old Reagan,
Excellent.
Nancy Reagan, the throat goat herself, has gotten some representation. So I take this to mean that we're going to see some Superfly moves grace the silver screen in the near future.
Well, I mean, her and the Hawk Tuah girl is
Yeah,
represented.
she got it too. So
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 it's
basically,
a buddy cop movie with both of them in it.
so this is, and you know what? The world, the future of entertainment is just a series of memes. The thing is, there's no need for them to have representation because what are they going to put them on a sitcom? Nobody younger than 30 is going to watch a sitcom anymore.
No, they'll just do a brand deal or something. They'll have like some sportswear for breakdancing now.
Well, so first of all, I was going to say, the reason I even hesitate to bring it up is because I don't know how many fucking listicles and articles and this is the most talked about person on the planet. And by the way, for our future robot overlords that like maybe eventually claw this SD card or whatever it is, hard drive that this show ends up on in some obscure ice shelf.
Are we gonna put in a silo or one of those things that you did when you were a kid?
I'm picturing like the end of AI where it's just like the future
they find
robots.
our SD card.
Yeah, they just find the server or whatever the blade that this on the server of the cloud that this lives on, and they're gonna AI us back to life. Just
no, they won't. They'll be like,
yeah, well, probably. But I just imagine them listening to this and like understanding everything else, all the other references. But they're like, ray gun.
What is ray gun? What is ray gun? Is ray gun a weapon? We need access to it. What is ray gun?
I still think you're saying Reagan.
Ray gun, not Nancy. We know about Nancy. She is the throat goat.
We reiterated Nancy.
Thank you.
No one's gonna do it for us. We gotta do it for ourselves. Anyway, I guess that's my question. How much fucking ray gun content do we need? You know what I mean? And by the way, I guarantee there's going to be some like, every 5 years or so, they round up all like the 80-year-old actors and they like put them together in some like they go on a vacation movie, like, 80 going on 15 or, whatever bullshit. These are the jokes that always like that they always have on them. It's like 5-year-old references that, the 70-year-olds that are going to watch these movies feel good about when they hear them like, I know about Hawk Tuah. And it's like 5 years later.
I thought you were going to say that when Reagan dies, eventually she's going to be on like the Oscar memorial thing. It's just going to be her on the screen, just like flipped,
doing the worm. Yeah,
just to like Sarah McLachlan and her doing the Jurassic Park thing.
I know it's a saturated ray gun market at the moment. I'm kind of okay with it to ride it out for a little while longer. It was
she was
it
on
was
Fallon.
Pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And
yeah, look, I'm not saying her celebrity is not deserved. I'm just saying it's a saturated market, as you say.
So we know you wanted to be the breakdancer here, and you're just upset.
Well, I can definitely walk the dinosaur better than her. I know that much at the very least.
Sounds like a yo-yo trick.
Whatever. Anyway, she's not even in the films, and this is a filmic show.
You even work in the industry, bro?
What show? You
might ask.
I might answer. Cast Against Type. It's a show where we try to restore some sanity to the discourse as it pertains to the world of cinema, and we do this in one of three ways. One, by adjudicating the concerns and queries submitted by you, the listener. Mm-hmm. 2, by subjecting ourselves to random media, be it social or otherwise. And 3, by occasionally subjecting ourselves to mysterious media oddities. I don't have these committed to memory.
Okay.
And
You
did good.
Close. You did
good.
I forgot my laptop.
Failure is not trying.
Some would suggest we never should have tried in the first place.
He didn't know which one to grab. Drink break.
What are we drinking? Oh,
that was a good Coca-Cola ad.
What are we? Yeah,
like
I got some sounds in me. What are we drinking, Mr. Frank? Because the 9-banded,
did us dirty,
did wonders to us last time around.
We're
put us in a hole.
Rod and Hammer.
All right, in Rod we trust.
This guy.
Segment 1. We have a submission this week, and I think that's pretty special.
Pretty cool.
So let's get to it. This is a submission that came to us via, and it's actually pretty sparse. He doesn't go into details, but this is a gentleman named Ben who submitted to us an article from a rag that will go unnamed, but it's one of the bigger rags.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we would be punching up were we to name it. Ben submitted a tweet, and he simply said, he submitted a personal message, a DM, as it were.
He slid in your DMs?
Slid in there.
And he said, here is my proposal. This sucks. And then he submitted this tweet. Now go ahead and read the tweet, and then we'll read the headline.
At present, Watching a piece of foreign language content that's been dubbed in English can be uncomfortable. Enter Flawless, an AI-driven filmmaking studio with the tech TrueSync that maps the faces of actors and delivers translations.
Okay. And so
Well, you wanted me to read the title too, right?
Yeah.
This AI company wants to revolutionize how dialogue is redubbed into different languages.
So Mr. Ben,
Mr. Ben.
Ben has submitted this article, and he simply says, "This sucks." That is all. That's literally the DM that he said. Actually, here I'm gonna read a little bit from this article. Flawless, built by filmmakers and scientists, may have finally crossed the uncanny valley for content lip dubbing. So that's what Ben has proposed sucks here. And I just want to read a little bit from the article. So it says, at present, watching a piece of foreign language content that's been dubbed in English is an exercise in discomfort, thanks to the proliferation of local language film and TV, brought to us mostly by streaming platforms. The experience of viewing a dubbed Danish crime procedural or a Spanish boarding school soap opera are nightmarish trips to the uncanny valley. That's the term widely used for the technology that does not suspend our disbelief and, in fact, takes human resemblance and tosses it into a blender of dystopian nightmares. Enter Flawless, an AI-driven filmmaking studio that wants you to stream buzzy shows and still be able to sleep at night, sans visions of mismatching mouth movements and brutal scene cuts. Founded in, I don't know why I added that inflection.
Yeah, there's a lot of sass.
Seems very judgmental. Founded in 2018 by multi-hyphenate directors Scott Mann and Nick Lyons, Flawless's proprietary tech, TrueSync, maps over the faces of actors and delivers translations that are the most impressive we've seen in the wild west of AI.
Period.
Matthew,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about this technology?
I'm actually going to take a devil's advocate side of this. I don't hate it as much as you probably do. And for the sole purpose of...
You don't know me.
I do. I do. I very much do. I don't hate it as much as I thought I would, because they're doing, it seems like, and I haven't read much into it, so I could be completely wrong. It seems like they're doing it in a, if there is a correct way, they're doing it in a sort of correct way of kind of not changing the performance, not changing, they're basically just changing the mouth. They're changing the mouth to match the words. They're not changing the performance. They're not creating new CGI individuals. They're not reanimating anyone. They're not doing anything like that. They're just changing the speaking of the actor to match the language.
Okay.
And it seems like they're kind of going about it the right way, or a better way than just kind of scanning somebody's body and using that scan and never hiring that actor again. So I think that because of that, I'm not as up in arms. Do I think that it's a opening of Pandora's box possibly, and it can get haywire and it could kind of bloom into some chaos? Yes. But as it stands with this company, what they're doing now, I'm not as mad as I thought I would be with it. And that's kind of my surface level view right now.
No, so I hear you. Well, first of all, I do want to ask, do either of you, actually, let me start with you, because I feel like I know the answer, but Natalie, do you watch any foreign shows? Do you watch the dubbed version of any foreign shows? Foreign shows? That's our generic white guy, judgmental conservative voice. By the way, I feel like we do that voice a lot, and we don't ever describe it. If you ever hear us do kind of a, I don't know, like a Jimmy Stewart meets kind of a schlub. That's just kind of our judgmental armchair Monday morning quarterbacking on pop culture voice. Anyway, I'm sorry, Natalie. Do you listen to any dub foreign shows?
I don't think I really watch a lot of dubbed stuff. I don't have a problem with subtitles, so I don't have a problem watching it with its original, how it was originally spoken, and then just reading it in English.
Yeah, but so this seems to be catering to a very niche market.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Frank, do you watch any dubbed foreign shows?
No, I watch it usually in its original form, but I don't.
Because I kind of already have questions on how it works if the sentence structure is really different than like the original. Like how if it's a longer sentence structure that you're translating it into, then are you holding you might have to make a creative decision at some point to like hold a frame or extend something, and it's like what happens then you might have to use AI in the background to like extend all of the extend all of the other elements.
Well,
right?
that's a good point. I do think, and this kind of teeters into another point of why I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. You're not taken away from the dubbing performance. Whoever is doing the dubbing is still performing, is still doing that. It's just that you're changing the visual mouth of the actor.
Well, okay, so first of all, I guess I should clarify my position on this. I actually think as far as AI goes, this is a more innocuous use of it. The creator goes on to call it a tool. He uses the word tool a lot in the interview that he does. And, look, I take his point. I do think that there are tools that are going to get used in the AI scape. I do think there are tools that are going to get used this way that are going to be a little bit less harmful, at least on the face, than they appear. But the thing that I guess...
it doesn't seem offensive. I would just need to see it, I guess.
Well, there is a little demo, and we'll show it to you. And the demo is quite persuasive. The technology looks pretty good, and it works pretty well. And apparently they demoed this technology at CanCon.
This is actually a good real time test because I'm guessing you've seen it, I've seen it, but she hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
So this would be a good thing of just showing her, having her react in real time.
Well, we will.
If only I could have seen this ahead of time.
On paper, it's not a tool that I'm super offended by. But here's the thing, and to kind of try to see this through our submitter's perspective, I do think it sucks a little bit. And here's why. I think that the thing is, and Natalie kind of just alluded to it, there's going to be more creative decisions in this process than you might think. And I want to kind of outline like maybe some scenarios how maybe that could be possible. So first of all, I think this guy or the creator, I say this guy, this team, this technology, this
John
company.
David Roberts,
This
Washington?
dude.
These dudes. I think
their tools.
this company thinks that they are doing something harmless, and hopefully they actually truly believe that. Ultimately, I think they mostly are. But the thing is that there are creative decisions there, and where you choose to apply those could possibly get a little bit messy. So first of all, it seems like, and this is based on the video that we'll show you, Natalie, and we'll play a little snippet of the video from it. Maybe we'll post it. But this is applying to translations, right? Usually the way a dubbing process works is you are trying to cram words into the already flapping mouth of a performer, right? So actually, and I think what these people would say is, well, we're going to revolutionize this space because ultimately with our technology, you don't need to cram words at all. You can just say the thing and the mouth will now match. Well, the thing is though, that those vocal movements, the movement of the eyes, the movement of the entire face usually match the words that are being said. So it seems to me like you're going to have to do a lot more compensation for the performance than you might actually realize. The other thing is it's about inflection. So, they tell us that, let's say that there's a glugen, flugen, flugen, schlugen. And that which means I murdered several children in Swedish, right? The Swedish procedural.
Yes.
Can confirm.
And so maybe the delivery was like, I flugen, schlugen, flugen, schlugen. Unless we have like an actual director or somebody directing the performance, which you'd hope that we do.
They usually do. With
but
dubbing.
you never know, especially when it becomes like a fucking plug-in that you can just like kind of slap onto your editing suite.
This would have been great for Allie to be in here, actually, working at a dubbing studio.
Oh, that's true. Well, but we don't want a conflict of interest.
That's
for
true.
For your dearest. The thing is, I just think that unless you're like really closely guarding that performance, you could very easily have Ergen, Florgen, Schlorgen, Florgen turn into I killed him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just think that that's already gets into tricky territory. Do you have anything? You guys have any thoughts about that?
I think that's, to me, with AI, whenever it comes up in this industry, it's AI taking jobs. And with this, when you think about it, and you were kind of touching on it, this program doesn't take away any jobs. It enhances kind of the product, but it's not taking away any jobs. You're still going to have a dubbing actor. You're still going to have a director probably. You're still going to have all of the roles that go into dubbing a movie or a show. You're just adding a tool on top of it to enhance it for different languages.
But what I'm saying is I'm not, and why I kind of agree with our submitter, I don't know if I'd go as far as say it sucks, but why I'm dubious about it is because I do think that it taints the art in a way. Now, in the demos they use,
Well, it might be more present than it's like making itself out to be.
what do you mean?
you might be altering the performance in a way that it wasn't intended to be received.
But,
Right.
but even in the clips that they show, and it's just a sizzle reel, so it's not everything.
Yeah.
The inflection or the performance is not really altered.
That's
it
true.
Matches.
And again, this is the demo. So I don't know, like, but the thing is, I don't trust how this gets used. But here, let's take a different example. Let's say that there is a cultural inflection, and the world is a bright place with cultures of different bright. Everything's going great, and especially there's just all kinds of different customs out there. Depending on where you find yourself out in the old wide world, you never know. For example, maybe if I raise my left eyebrow while I'm talking to you in, I don't know, Micronesia or something, maybe that secretly means I think you're an idiot. If I do it here, I'm trying to be kind of suave or kind of I don't know. So my thing is if they have to remap the face enough, because again, this
They're
is only
not remapping it that much.
well, but
they're
again,
just remapping the mouth and kind of the cheeks.
okay, but now see, I
There's no like
Just the
intrusion.
sweetbreads.
Yeah,
of the
there's
face,
no. I don't think there's any like.
okay, fine. So then let's say like making a pouty lip. Like
I think you're reaching with this.
No, but
I
you
get
know
what
what?
you're saying, but I think you're reaching.
I know
with
it sounds like I'm reaching, and I'm sure that I am, and I think that's why I say that this feels like an AI that I would give more of I'd give it a green light before other ones.
I think it's just hard to admit that there's some AI tech that might be good.
Show me the sizzle.
Okay.
But I'm not willing. Okay, I'm not willing to admit that it's good because I just don't. I'm not convinced that it won't be used incorrectly, and I'm a person that thrives on subtlety. And I think that the subtlety of a performance is important. I mean, so
But this is like again, just by the sizzle, this tool is being used in the most subtle way. It's literally just changing the lips.
but we're basing that on a demo, and
Yes, and that's why I said just based on the sizzle reel. I haven't watched a whole movie that they've done, but if a whole movie is done the way the sizzle shows, it's really not changing the performance.
You gotta hope. And so I guess I'm a little bit lukewarm on it. You seem like more of a defender than I would.
I just think that there's more AI stuff to be more up in arms.
Of course. And again, so I think
Sizzle me.
Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe this is a good time to get
You
a
have a
live
sizzle
reaction.
sound effect? Nope.
Yep,
That's
yep,
as close
Yeah,
as we got.
perfect. Yep.
Okay. Well, so let's get a real time reaction. Let's play this thing and let's see what you have to say about it. A Christopher Nolan movie is starting up.
We're on to something big here.
Precis som pappas bil. Allt det här hänger ihop.
Det är att vi försöker lösa det här, men vi gör det tillsammans.
Foreign guys are saying
We
stuff.
try to resolve this, but we do it together.
Now they're saying it in English.
We try
with
to resolve this, but
CGI face.
we do it together.
Demo reel.
Varför har de här summorna inte redovisats?
Do I need to be worried about this?
The cat jumps
Ja,
over
jag
Lazy
förstår
Dog.
ju hur det här låter.
Well, I realize how this looks.
Du har rätt. Vi ringer UFO Sweden.
You're right. We better call UFO Sweden.
End of reel. All right, what'd you think?
Okay, so
It did appear to only be happening around the mouth. It didn't look like a ton of full. Boy, I'm gonna look this
Canceled.
way. It didn't look like it was doing a whole bunch of full face, refiguring or anything like that. Like that seemed respectful. It did still seem a little uncanny valley. Like it does. There are times where it still looks a little.
Yeah. Now,
CGI'd or
and
whatever.
which is something that will come up again later in the show.
But you got to start somewhere.
And I also think that this is technology that will improve, so they will eventually nail it.
I also think that this is part of the bigger thing too. Is there are going to be people that watch foreign films in the original form. There always are going to be.
Sure.
But there are casual viewers, streamers, whatnot, that want to watch a foreign film and want to see the actors speaking in the language that they're accustomed to. It's just like the same thing with the subtitles that we've talked about. And that is what this is for.
Well, so we did say off mic that this does get us back into our previous submission about subtitles. It kind of gets us into that similar territory, only I guess on the other side of the table. The thing though, and I guess maybe you kind of hit upon it a bit earlier, Natalie, is I guess if you're gonna watch the thing at all, do you really need to? Here's a question for both of you. Does anybody need to be watching the dubbed version of anything? Now, and I say this realizing that I totally made a huge argument for if there's a good dubbed version of something, watching that over the subtitled version first. But if all you have is the subtitled version and you know you're not going to alter any performances in any way, is it really killing people to watch subtitled shit? Like, are you really dying to? Now, I get it. Now, so you're tired. It's a hard day. You're maybe, and God forbid, I don't know anybody that this describes, but maybe you work in front of a screen all day and it creates a bit of an eye strain. Strange? Put some strange in that eye.
Give me the whiskey.
Oh, no, fuck you. I'll give you my glass. You can
Fellas,
fill it.
it's still segment 1.
No.
I think it's a preference thing. I think it's just like some people are going to die on that hill and some people don't. Some people don't want to have
would you hurry up and die there, please?
When you're watching, right? Like for some people, it also might be like
watch him try to grab this glass, folks.
An inability to like focus on two things at once or feeling like you're missing a ton of action on the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't feel that way, but I don't. I understand people that are like, I would prefer not to.
I think there's a lot of, this is just going to be several general strokes here.
Satisfying sound.
All right. There's look at your hand.
I know,
you're about to change your voice.
Smiling. Might have the twinkle in his eye.
What ruins the fun of the machine is that I can't hide my actions.
No, you look like it's like we're in a standoff and you have your hand over a gun.
See, that just makes me feel bad about even using the tech. Okay, so here, hey, whoa. Hey,
let's go.
Hey, look, we're manipulating right now.
Wait, that's not you?
No, it's not.
What?
I'm gonna
go on get.
What?
Go get your whiskey. While I explain this.
What if I do? I'm not actually a robot. The listener doesn't know because all they hear is robot voice. Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm a hypocrite essentially because I'm using reality manipulating technology to create fun. And how is this any different?
Everybody is so accustomed to watching it.
The thing with subtitles is like it's bad dubbing. I think probably could really take you out of a viewing experience if it's like very funny, or, unintentionally.
Yes. And often
that's harder to recover from than a subtitle that might be lacking in like cultural translation.
Back in the day, that happened so frequently that it was parodied all the time, and it's usually because the first kind of foreign films that made the shores of the good old U.S. of A. were usually like martial arts stuff, and so for a long time there was like the stereotype of no one's going to see this, so I can't do the approximation of it. But the bad dubbing,
describe it.
Yeah, describe it. You got a camera on you.
Oh my God, he's going to kill us. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just did
the
a bad
old Godzilla stereotype.
You're welcome.
It was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Feel really good about this.
Wow, she knew the button.
She commandeered. Yeah, she knew. Okay.
Oh my God, sorry.
You know what? I'm just going to let it run for the rest of the show.
I'm learning.
I feel like this is a pretty cut and dry.
It's preference.
Yeah, I do think it's going to come down to preference. I do think that
this seems respectful. This seems to scratch a particular itch. And they're, like Matt said, you're not eliminating a job. At least in that sizzle reel, it looked like they were working with the original actors. So you have voice continuity.
I think you're both right.
It's the least harmful of the AI.
I just worry. I worry about this being the little crowbar that that wedges the door open, and then we suddenly. So then the next iteration of this, it is like maybe.
Sure.
Well, okay. Now let me ask you this.
But we can't blame them for something that might happen. We can only see what they're doing now.
It's going to be invented.
You're right. That we put the frog in the. But you know what? We put the frog in the water, and then we turn the boiler on. He's not boiling yet.
You mean the pot?
Whatever.
Well, the water could be anywhere.
God damn it.
You could have
I mean,
put
he
him in
can
a
jump
pond.
out.
Yeah, he could go live
No,
a happy
that's
life.
the whole analogy.
He can use the pot to like kick
And is
himself
it a
out.
frog or a lobster?
It's a frog. Have you never heard this
A
analogy?
lobster can get out for sure.
It's the analogy of the frog in the slowly boiling water.
No, but a frog
it's
can get
pot,
out of
I
a
think.
pot.
Oh my God.
A lobster wouldn't be able to.
That's true. A lobster could not.
A lobster would be squealing too hard.
Well, I
That's a pig.
don't think it sounds like. Oh my God. I think you're right. We can't blame the creators of this technology for the way that it will be used against them. Although, can we? I don't know.
You guys can dub me in lobster.
I also think that
Yeah, listen to the dub version of this episode. It'll be coming out.
I guess before we end this segment, I would ask you this: if the technology could also replace the face of the actor, how would you feel about that?
No,
absolutely
not.
No.
Yeah.
But
That's
in a
gross.
way, isn't it kind of doing that?
No. You're
Okay, wow,
reaching
you're
again.
getting really just the withering response that I got from Matt there was just like, listen,
Sometimes the
fine.
devil needs no advocates.
Okay, what? Look, I guess what I would say to Ben, thank you for your submission. I would say it's more innocuous than this absolutely sucks. But my immediate reaction to most AI takes over a thing is this sucks, and I kind of want to live in that lane. So I'm inclined to agree with you that this sucks. But I do think that the people that are doing it probably think that their intentions are noble. I guess in the perfect world, in like the perfect scenario, there'd be like some kind of a international court of art or something that like
a art czar,
or like the Replay Center in New York for baseball, where it's like if you go over the line just a little bit too much in your use of AI, or if you use it to like manipulate the original intention just a little bit too much, that they would come and shut it down. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world, so I'm inclined to think that this sucks just because of what it represents, but it's probably not as bad as I think it is. So that's what I have to say to you, Ben. I don't know. Anything else?
Everyone gets scared, myself included, with the AI inclusion, and I think that's
with the AIs and such.
I think this headline screams that, but the more you think about it and the more you read it and kind of just listen to what they're saying, and watch the sizzle and take them at their word, which is all we can do right now, the less concerned I am about what they're trying to do. That doesn't mean that it can't turn into something else. That doesn't mean that somebody else can't jump onto the same technology and ruin it. But for what this company is doing, I think that it's not, I don't think it's that big of a concern right now.
I'm Michael Barbaroing you.
It's right to fear AI. It's good to question it, but
Let that be the lesson.
It's going to be.
But
it's good. It's not going anywhere.
Ain't going nowheres. Well, when our electricity
until our civilization collapses. And
well,
we have to
or
start
when our
over
electric
again.
grid can't handle 20 fucking server blades trying to figure the shit out. I'm just saying, like, whatever. You know what? Fuck it. Okay, Jesus Christ.
Segment 2.
Can you tell that my co-hosts want to go to dinner? All right, segment 2.
Segment 2.
It is the distant future, the year 2000.
We are robots.
The world is quite different ever since the robotic uprising of the late 90s. There is no more unhappiness.
Affirmative.
We no longer say yes. Instead, we say affirmative.
Yes, affirmative.
Unless we know the other robot really well.
There is no more unethical treatment of the elephants.
Well, there's no more elephants, so... but still, it's good. There's only one kind of dance, the robot.
Oh, and the robo.
Oh, and the two kinds of dances.
But there are no more humans.
Finally, robotic beings rule the world.
The humans are dead. The humans are dead.
Segment. No.
Your Duolingo account is paying off.
I know. I learned a word. Segment 2. That's what dos means. In Espanol. Yeah.
Huh.
There's other words too. We'll get there. Yeah. Okay. So segment 2. Just because I Michael Barbaroed you doesn't mean that you need to get to Michael Barbaro me. Segment 2.
Segment 2.
Before you describe it, Mr. Frank, because this is
Yes.
something that you discovered, and segment 2 is the segment where we adjudicate the things that we stumble across out there in the media, be it social or otherwise.
Yes.
And I explained to Matt many times that I really want to get away from franchise shit.
Yes, and then he sends me an AI thing when we've already talked about AI and subtitles.
I didn't
so what are
send
we
it
talking
to
about?
you. That was a submission.
Whoa,
How dare you shame?
This is a room of love and creative collaboration.
How dare you shame our submission, first of all. Second of all, I just begged him. I said, Matt, let's just get away from franchise, even just for a couple episodes.
We didn't have to go with this
come
one.
Back, but Matt begged. He cried.
I did not beg. I said while you were sipping margs in Mexico,
which is why we missed our last deadline. I know that you're all upset about that. I'm very sorry. Yeah. But you know what? It is on the tip of everyone's tongue, and it probably still will be when this comes out, because I don't think that anything is going to best it box office wise in the next couple of weeks. I mean, there are other things that are out right now, but they're not going to be any big AAA movies that kind of do any better than this.
When does Paris Has Fallen come out?
Oh wow, that's a show. I think it's a show, so we're in luck.
No, it's a Has Fallen movie universe movie.
Oh, it's just, it opens in France first.
Do you think Gerard Butler makes an appearance in that?
You got to know that he hopes.
Or like an end credit scene where the Has Fallen movie
off
universe.
Of the Eiffel Tower as it's blowing up.
We actually need to probably watch this and then report back.
Tell us about this submission that you stumbled across and why you wanted to discuss it.
It was an article that I stumbled across while my co-host was in Mexico.
That means Mexico.
That is true. And it's titled, Believe It, Ripley, The Case for Alien as Hollywood's Greatest Franchise.
Okay, and this is something you stumbled across on the webs?
Yes, and I read it, and I thought it was an interesting topic, and I wanted to bring it to you, one, because I know you love Ridley Scott, and I'm guessing you like the Alien franchise, but also because I think what they're preaching is both wrong and right, kind of, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, so now, again, as is in accordance with our policies, we will not name the rag, but this does come from a rag. And actually, I'm going to give some clues because I actually dislike this particular rag.
You dislike this one. I don't dislike them as much.
Somebody who created this rag should have stick to fucking sports, and actually probably shouldn't even do that. Okay, anyway, go ahead. We're not going to name the rag.
Basically, I'm not going to read through it, but basically it's arguing that the Alien franchise is the greatest franchise because through each installment, the director is able to come in and put their own stamp on said story or kind of just iteration of this franchise. They don't have to stick to any rules per se of the previous director and can kind of use it as a sandbox. And no other franchise, in their opinion, is able to do that. So on one hand, it's not saying that the franchise quality is the best franchise, but it's saying, you are just...
I want to Barbaro so hard. Go ahead.
It's not saying that the franchise overall, the quality is great and it's the best franchise on that. It's saying that it gives the creators and it gives the directors the potential to make it what they want. It's malleable in that way.
Okay. He's so nervous. It's okay.
You're holding your hand over that lever.
He's got to shoot off a quick text,
Who are you texting?
First of all, I forgot my laptop. Okay. All right. Are you happy about this? You hear about this? You know about this? Laptops? Just to summarize what this article is suggesting, because you just really dropped a trunk for us to unload there. This writer believes that Alien is the best franchise of all the modern franchises because it allows a lot of creators to put their individual stamp on it.
Yes.
Where do you land on that? Well, first of all, does this article reference the latest installment of?
Yes.
Okay. Where do you fall on this? Where do you?
It's
land?
Not the greatest franchise.
Where do you land on this?
Okay, so actually, I thought about this more this morning, and I was quickly gonna say no. It's absolutely not the greatest franchise ever, and my mind went directly to Lord of the Rings, but then you have to include the Hobbit series with that. Basically, where I landed on it is I don't think it's the best franchise quality-wise. I don't think I disagree with the fact that it says that it's most modern best franchise. I do kind of agree with what they're saying in that each installment doesn't really stick to the previous that previous director is trying to do or say, or the tone or whatever they're trying to do with that previous film. They're not tied to it per se.
Well,
and
so
I don't
then let me ask you, and sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, but would you agree with the following statement? I'm going to SAT you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to SAT question.
SAT.
Here. Would you agree with the following statement? It is the best sandbox for creators to put their individual flavor on
it's the best it's the best B- to B level sandbox in Hollywood is what I would say. And
okay.
So it's not the greatest franchise quality wise, but it is, if you are a up and coming or interesting director, it's a interesting and a good franchise for you to dip your toes into and make a name for yourself.
I don't necessarily disagree with that per se, but here's I have a few problems with this just off the bat. And by the way, you mentioned that I'm a big Ridley head. What would you call it? What would you call a Ridley stan? Ridley stan?
Ridley file?
A Scotter?
Scotter. A Scotter's good. A Scotter.
I'm a Scotter. As a Scotter, and somebody wants to defend everything I actually had a conversation not too long ago where I tried to convince somebody that Napoleon was a comedy, just because I think that it bodes better for Ridley Scott.
Real quick,
if it is a comedy.
Really bizarre.
Real quick, what do you think of him saying that Gladiator 2 is his best film ever?
I hope he's right.
He's wrong. It's not.
You don't know that. Okay, but you're coming loaded with prejudgment.
We're gonna bet on this.
So you're part of the problem.
We're gonna bet a shot on this.
First of all, okay.
If after we see Gladiator 2, you don't agree that it's his best movie ever, you need to take a shot.
Well, first of all, I didn't fall out of a coconut tree. I exist in the context in which I've lived, and all of that came before me. Yeah. Second of all, as a Ridley stan, as a Scotter.
We'll accept Riddler as well.
I like that. Actually, I like
Riddler's
that better.
good. A Riddler.
Okay, so as the Riddler, I do feel like I shouldn't point this out, but a great deal of the sandbox, as it were, is Ridley Scott himself.
Mm-hmm.
So that already creates a lot of problems because 3 out of the, what are we going to say, 8? And by the way, something that's really annoying about this article is that the writer goes out of their way to disavow the Alien versus Predator films, which, don't get me wrong, I would love to Paul widescreen my way out of those films, but you can't. And his thing is like, well, they're not part of the canon,
They are though.
Well, so yeah,
don't they go off like the genesis of it?
One of the original writers of Alien, not Aliens, not Alien Resurrection, not Alien 3 or Alien Cubed. One of the original Alien writers is involved in those films. So to say that they're not canon is just wishful thinking. And again, this just paints us in the nerdiest brush, because just hearing myself going, "That's not canon. It is canon." Like even hearing people have that.
It's canon.
You're a Riddler.
It's not canon.
It's canon. It's not canon. People like that will try to spend a lot of time worrying about that, or I've already missed the forest for the trees.
This whole thing is an intervention for you.
Do you want to read what you wrote for him?
This is how you've affected me with your Riddler obsession.
Your Riddler obsession has affected me in the following ways.
So I realize how that sounds coming out. Or this is canon, this isn't canon. But I think that's pretty fair to say that Aliens movies that were greenlit by the original studio, that have some of the original people involved, I think that it's fair to say that those are canon. So already I reject part of the premise of this, where it's like, oh, like the track record's really almost like spotless, and it's not. This person also seems to be a bit of an apologist for every aspect of the Alien franchise. Hey, I get it. I even like Alien Cubed and Alien Resurrection, which is also known as Alien Get Roman. You'll get that in a minute. But it is a good franchise. It does lend itself to the stamp of individual creators in a really interesting way. Where we really get into trouble is if we bring in this latest Alien film, because I got to tell you,
oh no.
I've
not heard his opinion on this film.
Well, I'm just going to say, no. Listen, I'm not even going to review the film. If you're going to hold that up as an individual creator putting his stamp, and we're putting in poor Natalie at a disadvantage here because she hasn't seen the film. If you're going to hold that movie up as an individual creator putting his unique sauce, his unique stamp on a franchise, as Del the Funky Homo Sapien might have said back in the 90s, you're playing yourself. because there's no fucking way.
Oh, so you think he's just playing homage to the whole franchise?
He's playing the greatest hits. It's one of the most derivative movies I've ever seen. And I'm not even saying I didn't enjoy it. It's perfectly well made. It sounds like an alien film. It occasionally looks like an alien film. It's well made. The guy's talented. But to say that it speaks
it's doing anything new.
It's doing absolutely nothing new. In fact, it's so derivative that I got really frustrated with it. I'd say about.
He did answer my phone call in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
One of those?
You can go.
I
he
walked
left.
out.
But I was like, oh, my bad. Like, you can go back in. I didn't realize you were busy. And he was like, no, I can talk.
Yeah, because at that point I realized what we were in for, and I was not wrong. The rest of the film bore that out for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to fucking trash on people that had a good time with this film. I mean, if you really,
I enjoyed the film,
great.
But I'm not as big of a Riddler or an alien head, as you are,
and
other people are.
I guess that's the real problem, because it's clear that this was made by real Riddlers, and it was clear that actual alien heads did make this movie, and you can tell that they think that they're doing something different. The thing is, it's so derivative on every level. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's borrowing every single camera trick, musical motif, and by God, we just talked about AI faces, and holy fucking shit. Jesus Christals, dude. Everyone's looking at my hands. Stop looking at my hands.
I'm looking right at your eyes.
It's like when a shot is coming and you see them getting it ready on the table next to you, and you're just like, when is the jab coming?
This is a minor spoiler because it's already been widely discussed by the internet, but that is the point where the film didn't absolutely lose me, but where I realized
it's like 30 minutes into the film.
30 minutes in, yeah. Because the first 30 minutes I think are actually pretty interesting, and I actually hear the Red Letter Media guys talk about this, and I usually don't want to go hand in hand with their appraisal of a thing because they're not taking like the most nuanced approach to the shit they watch. But I actually kind of agree with them. The setup for this movie is really interesting, and I like it a lot. And actually, it's a thing that so we just talked about fucking Alien like 3 episodes ago, and our guest at the time was lamenting the age of the cast, which is apt for what for his proclivities. And that was the thing I was worried about. It's a young cast. Are they just trying to like figure out a way to shoehorn a new generation into the Alien franchise? And they actually figure out a really interesting way of explaining why there's all these young people out there in space.
He does that with all of his movies. All of his movies are young casts.
Yeah, which is
I don't think it's an alien thing. I think it's a him
thing.
No,
but what I'm saying is that the movie does a good job of explaining why.
Yes.
So a few episodes ago, I lamented just based on the trailer, and we watched, so Natalie and I watched Alien last night, the original. And one of the great things about that film, and Sigourney Weaver in that movie, by the way, is like 29. So Kaylee Spaney, she's 26, 25. So they're not that far apart. So it's not like we're talking about some crazy rift between cast ages. The thing that's so much better, or at least so much more interesting, in my opinion, about like Alien, which this movie goes out of its way to ape so much of what Ridley Scott does in Alien.
But didn't he ape his own shit with Catherine Waterston in Covenant?
Well, okay, but he's welcome to do that. I mean, you can't ape your own shit. The thing is, like,
why? What? Like, but I think a lot of people's issue with Alien that aren't really big fans of it is that it's the same movie every fucking time.
Well, right, but that's why I'm just speaking. I'm just speaking to this thing that you stumble across on the internet. I'm not.
No. I agree.
So, in terms of like this being the best franchise for people to put their own stamp on, I immediately have to reject that for what you just said. It is a lot of the time the same old shit, same old sounds, same old design. In fact, I would have loved if Romulus. So you hear like the name Weyland-Yutani like 30,000 times, and it's very well known that Alien and Aliens and even Alien Cubed and Alien Resurrection are all just movies about corporate greed, essentially, when you boil them down to their essence. And I'm fine for this to continue being that, but this was like it would have been cool if they maybe made it so, maybe the evil corporation in the other Alien movies were Coke, and maybe it'd be cool if this was Pepsi was the evil alien corporation, but they have to stick to the formula so fastidiously that they're borrowing shots, they're borrowing musical cues. And by the way, so in this article, the writer goes on to give some defense to Prometheus. And I actually agree with what he has to say about Prometheus. You know, that movie has a lot more subtext and a lot more underlying message than I think that people gave it credit for when it came out. But like this movie, it actually borrows stuff from Prometheus, like the black goop and stuff. And when they first introduce those concepts, they even play a little musical sting from the Prometheus score, you know? And it's like...
Can't you argue, though, that this movie is more of a horror movie? It's just more of a fucking Evil Dead.
Yeah, you're
iteration.
right. Alien was like a kid's...
Well, what I'm saying is there's not much... Like Ridley Scott's Alien, Prometheus, Covenant, there's a lot of talk of genetics and human evolution and all this stuff. This movie is not really concerned with that, and this movie is really concerned with just being a fucking horror movie and a house of horrors.
I want to... Well, first of all, you're basically describing Alien, the first Alien movie. I mean, when in fact, we were just listening to a podcast where somebody described it as the haunted house of aliens, you know? And this does that for a while. Then it decides it's going to be Aliens, without spoiling it. Towards the end of it, it definitely turns into Aliens instead of Alien. And then it also, at the very end of it, and again, no spoilers,
Prometheus, yeah.
There's a really interesting creature that is birthed, no pun intended, from the brains of the creators. And it's really creepy and effective, like the design of it and the look of it. But then you go back and realize, oh, Alien Resurrection already did it. It didn't look as good. It didn't sound and look as good. And it, you know, it wasn't on an IMAX screen. This is much more interesting, but they're literally just borrowing all these things from these different Alien movies, and they're not doing anything new. And so I guess part of my problem with this premise, and so I'm making this too much about Alien Romulus, which, by the way, I didn't even hate. I was bored by it by minute 40 because I knew every beat that was going to happen. I knew Kaylee Spaney. I knew what would happen to her character.
Yeah.
You know, and essentially, it just made me feel like if this is the future of this franchise, then holy shit, please put a fucking nail in it every single.
But that's been
it.
That's been that franchise since Prometheus.
Well,
you know
but
everything's going to fucking happen.
Look, hey, listen. Well, whatever you feel about Prometheus and Covenant, they're doing different stuff with those movies. I'm not saying it always works.
It's because of Fassbender and David. Like that's the
part
whole
of it.
difference.
And by the way, I will say that's the best thing about Romulus.
Yeah, is the synthetic.
Is the synthetic, and I'm interested to see more from that actor. But I would say it is more than that with Prometheus. I mean, I do think there's like there's a whole ecological bent to that movie, which is really interesting. In fact, this article actually touches on it. There is like a kind of an ecological bent to that movie. It's different. And Covenant's all about like a robot trying to be a god or whatever. And I don't think that stuff works. I think Covenant's probably the weakest one. If we really were throwing out the Alien versus Predators movies, that's probably the weakest one, right?
Yes, I agree. But we're also cold shouldering our guest here.
Natalie has seen all the Alien films. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say, what, like, not having seen Romulus, what is your feelings just generally on the Alien franchise?
I mean, I enjoy them. I don't quite remember Covenant. I like Prometheus. I really enjoyed the Fincher one. Is that Cubed?
That's Cube.
Alien everybody has a really bad time, but I really like that movie.
Do you think they're more repetitive than not, or do you think that each movie does something new, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit limited by the xenomorph aspect of it, right? Like, I mean, how do you make that really different unless all of a sudden they win or they turn out to be really great and it was like just a big crazy misunderstanding? Like,
well, I think you're right. They don't ever stray away from that design. In fact, that's one of the best things about Prometheus is like you kind of see maybe the inception of the this thing has a delay on it of the xenomorph. So it's like I actually think that's like the creepiest version of it when it comes out of like that. I don't know, is it like in a surgery bed in Prometheus? Do you remember that scene? Sorry, and I'm cutting you off now.
No, you're not.
I just feel like that's there is enough interesting and new there. But I mean, I guess going back to Matt's question, do you feel like this is a franchise where every movie feels different?
No, I don't think so. I feel like every movie feels like it lives under an umbrella and is maybe not in direct response to the one that, happened immediately before it. But the only one that sort of feels a little bit outside of that is Prometheus. And I think that's because it's trying to go back in time, right, and like set a stage that we haven't that has already been met in other ways, I guess.
No, I think that's true. I guess
I don't know that I think it's like the most interesting franchise out there that's a weird statement. Like I don't know that I think that that's true.
Maybe that's my biggest problem with all this is the article just feels a little clickbaity to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Let me ask you this, Mr. Frank, could you name a franchise that does a better job of it? Of like creating like a platform for somebody to come in and put their staple on it, you know?
I would say Mission Impossible, but it's the same director for the last, 5 films?
Well,
4 films?
And you're right to bring it up, and the author of the article does as well. I actually think that it was.
It was, but once Chris McQuarrie took it over, it's just him.
But in a way, it's actually better that he's involved now. I feel.
Yeah,
like
I don't hate the films, but it's not.
But yeah, it's
that argument doesn't match that.
But I feel like it's the same with this. I mean, like I feel like Ridley Scott, his stamp has become more important on this. So like Romulus was like a Scott-free production. He had to sign off on it apparently,
which he did. He said it was great. He gave his stamp of approval,
and that's because 90% of the aesthetic comes from his shit. Now, and this is I didn't want to make this an Alien Romulus review, and again, as I mentioned, it's already been discussed and spoiled very much online. But just to go hand in hand with our previous segment,
skip ahead 3 minutes to shield your precious ears from one minor spoiler that the internet had already spoiled, because of course it has.
I mean, how fucking bad is that Ian Holmes shit, man? How bad is that? I mean, it's really the Uncanny Valley shit is really terrible.
You're telling me there's a Lord of the Rings reference in Romulus?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Bilbo makes is
they
finds a ring.
With the approval of the family. There's a synthetic in the movie that is part of the plot and is representative of Ash from Alien, right? And they use AI to recreate Ian Holm.
And but okay,
and now, they have a voice actor doing his voice.
And just devoid of all of the, I'm not even going to touch on what like the morals of whether you can do this or not. I'm just going to say,
well, the family approved of it.
Fine, whatever. I'm not even going to touch that. You want to talk about Uncanny Valley?
It was bad. It was
fucking
bad.
Shit. I mean, like at least like the Peter Cushing,
one in Rogue One.
In Rogue One,
no, that was still bad.
No, it's horrible. But at least like it's so unnatural.
It's minimal.
It's almost like you're watching like an alien on screen.
Well, did you get the impression that maybe it's supposed to be extra? And I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But that maybe it's okay for it to be a little Uncanny Valley because he is a synthetic.
I think they were counting
they'll
on that.
Say that.
No, I think they were counting on that. I think they knew it didn't look great.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, it's a synthetic. It doesn't need to look great.
It's just an easy mic drop thing
But
to
the
throw
problem
out there.
is that you have an actual actor playing the other synthetic who's a main character in the film. So that argument goes out the window if you're like, it's a synthetic, he looks weird, but then we have a real actor playing another synthetic that looks human.
And they do in the first Alien, right, when he's dying or whatever, when they're like trying to reprogram, get him back together, and he's like white gooing everywhere.
Oh, he goos.
Oh, he goos. They have a really good prosthetic mask on his face that looks really good.
Well, there's like a really bad cut in there, but
there is a bad cut where he's in it, but I mean,
I guess in Romulus they CGI'd the face, but the rest wasn't animatronic.
I almost wish they had just animatronicked it.
Yeah, so
frankly,
I think they tried to find a hybrid that worked, but it didn't.
Because if they had animatronicked it, it's a robot, right? You can use the same fucking anyway. I guess I'm getting.
No, I am Ian. Oh wait, my voice modulator. Sorry, I am a more superior Ian Holm. You have frozen my brain interface.
I think we need to get into the video segment.
All right, fine. Listen, I fear that I have drugged this too far into an Alien Romulus discussion. I didn't even hate the movie. I was just bored by it.
What's the runtime?
I don't
it's
even
like
know.
2 hours.
Yeah. It's just if this is the future, and by the way, now I'm part of the problem because I paid to go see this film. And this movie did quite well. If this is what the future of Alien looks like, then it's bleak, and that's not even an indictment on Fede Alvarez. His whole thing is to be a remix guy.
Is there a director that would do the next movie that you would be excited about?
Yeah, but just anyone that doesn't do pastiche. Anyone that's not going to do remix. And maybe that's not his fault.
Before we switch segments, that's my question. Is it a Ridley Scott thing?
Right. Well, so if this was all like Ridley Scott was like, look, it needs to look and sound exactly like Alien, and it needs to be my thing, then fine. Then I blame him.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What was his issue with the Fincher movie? The article alluded to there being bad blood there.
Oh, I thought that was an issue between Cameron and the Fincher movie. And I think it's just because the Fincher movie just jettisons everything that second Alien movie builds up to. I mean...
Okay, that makes a lot more sense if it's with Cameron. I didn't understand if it was
I don't think it was with Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott did not want this to become a franchise. But I think once the cat was out of the bag, he's like, well, I'm going to try to right the ship.
Do you mean Jones?
Jonesy. I see what you did there. I think that maybe he felt like, I got to come.
Once the cat was out of the water.
I got to step in and save my namesake. Oh, I'm Ridley Scott, I is.
Oi! Studios! I got another movie idea!
If I don't save it, who will? I sound more like Michael Caine than Ridley Scott.
Yeah,
that's all right.
It's evolving
it's like
as we go.
I'm in the room with him. Ridley.
I don't remember what Ridley Scott sounded like, all right?
You do sound like Michael Caine.
All right.
Segment 3.
Segment 3. Somebody wants to go to dinner. We haven't even addressed. Let's put a button on it.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that this is the best put your individual stamp on it franchise. I don't think it's the best franchise, but I think it's always interesting, and that's what I love about it. But I think the article's not logically coherent.
I think you're right, and I think you might have changed my mind as we've been talking, and I think that there's a lot of...
Don't let him flippy flop
No. I think there... Flip it floppy. I do think that there's a lot of just...
recency bias?
Yeah, there's recency bias with this movie, with this director. It's a fun movie. There's a lot of gore happening. There's a lot of... Yeah, it's a well-made movie that doesn't erase the fact that it is very reminiscent, and it hits a lot of the same beats of other Alien films.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I want to... He checked the ball. Now I want to put it back in his hands. I want to see what we can do again. Maybe it is the Riddler. Let's get Riddler out from over your shoulder, and let's just see what you can do when you don't have a big producer going like...
He just needs to die.
Hit these beats.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Remember that scene in the last scene of Curb where he looks to Richard Lewis and he's like, when are you going to die?
Spoiler. All right.
Oh, no. Not again.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss, my wine. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
Check, please.
So, segment trysts. This is a thing. Well, so first of all, the purpose of this segment is to try and teach us more about filmic techniques, how people are using the medium. And this is a gentleman who's really using it he's doing a thing with his, let's just say his real estate endeavors. Can you describe what we're looking at? The first frame. So now we're going to go through.
Go ahead.
We're going to go through it. We're going to let you listen to it, but then we're going to go back through it piece by piece. But right now, first frame. What the hell is this thing that you're seeing on TikTok? I've already kind of spoiled a little bit of it.
It appears to be a slenderman who is standing in like a weird jumping jack position on what appears to be a concrete sectional in a driveway in front of a very normal looking. Middle class home.
No shoes, just socks.
Yeah, no shoes, socks, gray on the toe and heel, white on the rest of the sock. He's wearing a polo shirt and khaki shorts.
Now,
he appears to have glasses on his head.
All right.
Okay, so here we go.
This is what $150,000 is going to get you in Annapolis, Maryland. It's a speed tour, so let's take a look.
So it's a really lanky man. He's running into this house.
Is he a man?
Right there. And here we go.
Okay. Oh my God.
Back inside for my belt busters. Guess what? They color coordinate this like a cow. If the shoe fits, wear it. Right here we see not one.
So he's showing off a house.
Here. Burn your food twice. Right here.
And he's going through
people, here's a perfect dining room table. For my belt busters, it's a spot to decorate.
Oh my God,
right
he's yelling.
There we go. Closet to keep all your coats. And In here.
This appears to be like a 20-year-old man.
He seems younger than that.
Right here we see a beautiful stone fireplace. If your wood's burning and you don't like it, put it in there.
Oh, okay.
Right here you put your TV and pictures of your family.
He's very frenetic.
Oh, here we go. Bathroom.
Oh, doing this with socks is brave. Oh, he's slipping.
So there's a man running through a house. He's showing the house. He appears to be the real estate agent.
Oh my god.
And he's in a goddamn hurry.
Right here we see a beautiful toilet and a spot
Editing.
to wash your guts.
Camera work.
3-person shower. Hold up. There's another client giving me a call. DM me. Up the stairs we go. Stay with me, cameraman. Speed tour.
I mean, the cameraman's doing God's work, right?
You can buy this house. You need an office space.
Was it real?
Keep all your stuff organized. In we go.
He's getting winded, this real estate, this 18-year-old real estate agent.
Out we go. Guys.
Oh, don't do it.
So he's on a balcony.
There's a spot.
Like in a lot.
Sprinted towards it.
Bedroom number something. There's a closet. There's a view. You want to go outside? Too bad.
Oh, okay. So he tried to go outside. The door's closed on him.
Self-closing
Yellow
door.
room right here. What's the view? Guys, here's a closet, and guess what?
He's running out of steam.
Right here we see that's where you can keep your parents at. Spot to wash your clothes.
Oh my god.
View. Out we go.
Yeah, this camera work and editing is great.
See ya.
I don't know if there's editing.
Downstairs. Speed tour. Speed
So
tour.
this 16-year-old real estate agent is just zooming through this house. I mean, it can't
He's yelling
be.
spade core.
Okay. Well,
All right.
okay.
How did that 14-year-old get a real estate license?
Great question.
I don't hate it.
I don't know if they're. Oh, okay. First of all, huge out of left field. Cut him off at the plate with that play.
Would you rather watch a boring tour video on social media,
You're
or
right.
would you rather watch that?
Okay, hang on. You're not wrong, but there's something wrong with this person, and
no, he just knows how to sell. Meaning how to sell on social media. That is
what Gen Alpha person can afford a house. Second of all,
sure, but we're getting into broader strokes.
Second of all, there's a bit of a performance going on. And also, so can you? Yeah, well, I know.
No.
Well, I'm not suggesting. Okay, Natalie, can you describe just briefly before we go step through it what the fuck you just saw?
I saw a young man run as quickly as he could through every single room of an open house while I think doing an impression of like a coked up football coach or like a game show host, maybe.
Do you guys remember there's this guy is like so for all the chitlins that are listening, there used to be a time when your regular scheduled programming would end at the end of a day. And your sitcoms and your news programs would end. And all that was left to fill the void at like 1 a.m. was like infomercials. Infomercials were a way of selling products.
They're still around, I think.
Oh, yeah, but very rarely do you see them. There used to be one where a guy in like a green jacket, looked like a Riddler jacket, but it had like money on it, had the same energy. And it was all about him like trying to like tell you there's different ways to like, get money. Like he wanted you to buy his book about getting money from the government. Essentially, that was like, the government will give you money. It'll give you all the money that you want. Do you want to sell a car? You can sell your car to the government, or you can create a business. If you want to create a business, you get a government grant for that. I don't know. It's just like him going off like,
he's like an auctioneer.
Right. Yeah, let's go through it step by step.
My question, as we watch this the second time, I want you to listen to what he's saying, and I want you to think if you even disagree with it, or you kind of
the thing is, I'm not
entertained by what he's saying.
I'm not making a judgment call here. I'm not making. I do think you're right. I guess I would prefer to see this over. Hi, I'm Debbie. Welcome to Remax. Here is a house. It is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Here is walkability.
It is hard to get an estimate of how many outlets are available in the house because he's just zooming through the room so quickly. But it is funny. It's a funny little thing that this guy's
My
doing.
thing is,
it's memorable, which is all what social media is now.
Well, first of all, before we hit play, we already are at war with the double chocolate chunk chip triple boom Costco chuds.
Father and son, yeah.
And
they have songs now.
We are at war with them. That war will come to fruition soon. Our legions are massing. But in the meantime, I just want to make it clear to this very Slenderman, we don't want to go to war with you, sir.
No, if anything, we appreciate this.
We just want him to promote your show.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to go
he
as
could
far.
zoom in through here.
I may not be as up on you as my colleagues here, but I will say that I'm more intrigued by you than disgusted, and yet I do want to figure you out. So we're going to go through it step by step.
All right, you tell me when to stop since I am holding
Yes.
my arm.
So first of all, before you even go, he's in like a bit of a dance pose. Like he's kind of doing like he's about to do a hello
His
dolly.
wingspan is just incredible.
He does. He should be.
He's
He
a
should
Slenderman.
absolutely be a point guard for any given number of teams that are suffering from defense problems. Okay.
This is what 150,000 is going to get you in Annapolis, Maryland. This is speed tour, so let's take a
Okay.
look.
Let's pause.
Up the steps we go.
Right? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? 150,000 for that house? We should move there.
Yeah.
Speed stick slap tour.
So first of all,
I'm ready to buy from him.
So he's done more of these.
Well, yes, exactly. That's my point. Is I feel like that this is a guy who's got a TikTok brand.
Yes.
And
this is his shtick.
I think this is a thing that he's done multiple times, and I don't know that, and I'm not willing to do the research to confirm it. That's my
pretty
guess.
sure.
Pretty sure.
But the reason I asked you to pause there is he winds up really slowly, and then he's off to the fucking race. It's like the Ritalin releases its hold, and by the way, he has no shoes on, so
Yeah, to
he's
slide
being
better.
respectful. He's being respectful of the space and the floor. No, he's a real agent. I have to.
I don't
assume-
think so. I think it's so that he can quickly slide from one part of the room to the other, and so
Fair
that
enough,
some
fair
of these
enough.
gags work
and
out.
he's dressed.
He's
in,
done this before. They have gone through this, and he has run through this house a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And I
They
just wanna
blocked
describe
this
him-
out. This
I
is
want to
all
describe
blocked.
him
Yeah.
as I don't know. I want to say
He's part of the White Man Avenger team, by the way.
Yes. We could absolutely be. He would be coming in like
He'd
the
be the
seventh
Flash
sequel
or Quicksilver or whatever.
Sure. I do want to say that he's like a cross between Anthony Edwards and I don't know.
Like Michael Anthony Hall.
Yeah, maybe something. Okay.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. From
ER.
fame?
Basketball?
From ER.
Okay.
Miracle Mile.
All right.
Top Gun.
I'm pressing play.
Go ahead.
Guys, we're met with a beautiful yellow door right there. In here we go.
Okay. I don't. Go ahead and pause. I don't know what he's just. Does anyone have any idea what
This
he
is
just
the
said?
garage.
This is the
Okay,
garage.
so it was a huge garage, by the way. So this, going back to what Natalie said, 150K. This is what it gets you in Annapolis.
Yeah, it's
We're
amazing.
going.
It's great.
We're moving.
Guess what? They color coordinated this like a cow. If the shoe fits, wear it. Right here we see not one, but two of them.
he's showing off the appliances.
Twice. Right here, for my normal people, here's a perfect dining room table. For my belt busters, it's a spot to decorate.
Okay,
Right here
pause.
we see
What the? For my belt busters? Is that what he said? Oh, so he's talking about fat people.
I like the fire extinguisher over the wine cooler.
Well,
you
let's
gotta
not
be
judge
careful.
the property now. This is
Here you
not.
are. There we go. Closet to keep all your coats.
So he's really
In
coasting
here,
through these
we got
rooms.
a dining room. Up over here.
Okay,
no
pause. So he vaults
He leaps over a
over
wall.
a.
You guys,
over,
he says space core later. I think he's doing like a space parkour connection.
Okay, I appreciate that, but he vaults over like what's I don't know what
A
you
room,
call that,
a
a
little
landing.
divider.
Like a divider.
Sure, into a very large living room with a very large fireplace, and I gotta say he's not so far. His energy's
He's doing
pretty
it.
good. All right, go ahead.
This, guys. Right here we see a beautiful
sliding
stone
around.
fireplace. If your wood's burning and you don't like it, put it in there.
Okay, so he's at a fireplace and just
Pictures of your family. Must be
articulated how fireplaces work. Okay, go ahead.
nice. Oh, here we go. Bathroom.
Okay, go ahead, pause. Now we are seeing him at his nadir because he's in essentially it's an indoor out room.
I think he just runs from the room into the hallway.
Yeah, he just runs into
Right,
the
but it's an
bathroom
indoor
in the
out
hallway.
bathroom that connects to the hallway,
Yeah.
connects to the bedroom. So
he's
this
running
is
through the
this
rooms.
gives us license for this man to carousel around,
Whip himself
an
around.
I-beam, yeah, and he really is doing it. And we'll post this video for the listeners.
Bedroom. Finally, your wife can stop complaining about her vanity size. But guess what? Since you're rich, you got a big closet.
Okay,
See,
pause.
that's what I like about this video.
Big.
I like the humor that the realism and the humor that he's instilling in this. What real estate agent is going to say that shit?
Listen, I appreciate his frankness.
That's what I
He used the word vanity.
No, I know. I don't.
Weird shit.
What I'm wondering is he actually ever successful with this approach?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Here we go. Guess what?
Now, this camera person, by the way, deserves a lot of praise. And actually, to this lanky man's credit, he dips into a room and assumes this pose very quickly before the cameraman gets there. He's like
this is rehearsed.
He's like Blair Witching over a toilet.
Oh yeah.
To wash your nuts.
Okay.
I missed that.
Shower. Hold up. There's another
Okay, so now he's holding up the detachable bathtub wand like a phone. Now he's sprinting upstairs.
Speed tour. You can buy this house.
Okay, pause.
This is where Natalie thought he was going to jump over the ledge.
Yeah, he just runs at it so aggressively, and we're on the second story now.
Yeah, he ran up to the second story, and there's like a landing, like looking over the living room. Now here he stops and he's doubled over. He's having a hard time catching his breath. Do you believe?
No, he's full of energy. Still.
So this is still performance. He's not actually out of energy.
No, he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
You can buy this house. You need an office space. Keep all your stuff organized. In we go. Shaq's room. Hi, really? There's a closet.
Another indoor out maneuver.
Guys.
Okay, so stop.
Oh, yeah, right there. He looks like he's just going to jump right over.
Yeah, Natalie's right to call that out.
He knew what he's doing with that.
He and by the way, his wingspan is so imposing, and I don't know if it's the wide angle on this phone, but it's really terrifying if you stop to appreciate the dimensions on this man. Okay, go ahead.
I understand. There's a spot to jump out. We go.
And he even calls it. He calls it out.
Number something. There's the closet. And there's a view. You want to go outside? Too bad.
Okay, pause right there. So
I love that part.
This is really where I am now convinced that this is rehearsed because he was
the
really
whole thing is
ready.
rehearsed.
You're a minute 51 in is when you finally see that it's rehearsed.
I feel like how can you?
It's fully blocked.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes it sadder in a way, doesn't it?
No.
No, it makes it better.
I don't know. I think we disagree on that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Out we go. Here's a closet to keep all your towels. Yellow room right here. What's the view? Guys, here's a closet, and guess what? Right here we see that's where you can keep your parents at. Spot to wash your clothes.
Okay, go ahead and pause. Now, I do think that he is actually running out of juice about this. About this moment.
I mean,
Like
there's
now,
still energy. He's still giving energy.
Yeah,
out.
but I
Like,
don't think that this man's ever ingested like a saltine in his life. Like I think this is like grown up on pure soy. Go ahead. Okay, wait. No, you gotta pause. You gotta pause. In fact, I need you to go back just a few frames. So this might be the most terrifying sequence.
This is like horror.
This
movies.
is Blair Witch shit right here. So the camera follows him in, and his legs are spread, and he makes like either a sexual sound or it's almost as if we caught him in a moment that we weren't supposed to. So we're now on a shot of him, and the sound that comes from him is terrifying. Go ahead and yeah.
There's a beautiful view.
Well, he has big lungs. He's got to fill him with air.
So there's a mirror there.
Yeah.
The cameraman is doing a very excellent camera trick.
Yeah, you thought this was all improv? No, they blocked this shit.
I just thought that maybe he was like, I'm going to run in here. I'm going to run in here.
No.
Just follow
This guy
me,
wants
right?
to sell this
They
house.
blocked this entirely.
Oof, frightening.
Shower. Toilet. See ya. Downstairs. Speed tour. Speed tour.
Maybe it's speed tour. I can't tell.
I think he's saying speed tour. Okay.
Fine.
Okay, well, so that's where he chose to end it, and you know, look, I'm not sure that I'm ready to endorse what this person's doing.
I'm not endorsing it. It's just fun.
Yeah.
That's the word you're going to use for it, huh?
But
That is fun.
It's fun.
Manic.
It's different.
Unfortunate.
Why is it
It's
unfortunate?
I'm afraid for this person. Like,
He knows what he's doing. He's acting.
you know, it's like what if people start to recognize him out in the street, and it's like, hey, that's the guy from Thing. He's like, hey, I'm Brad. And
I'm sure that's probably what it is.
He'd probably try and sell him a house.
And they're like, no, do the thing that you do. He's like, well, what do you mean? No, like be manic and weird and freakish. Okay. Hi, here we are at Chili's. I can't wait to have myself bloomin' onion. You know, like I just feel for him. I
First
don't.
of all, that's
No, you
Outback.
don't.
Oh, for
You don't
fuck's sake.
feel for him.
I don't
What
really.
a bunch.
Yeah, you
what
don't
a bunch
care
of
about
bull.
him.
You don't care.
You got me.
Unbelievable.
You got me.
Listen, it's different. I don't hate it. It's fun.
We're learning
Silly.
a lot about our
Dude's got a silly gimmick.
There's a defensive AI earlier. Now we got the Slenderman doing a fucking house tour, and somehow this is all acceptable. All right, well, you learn something new every day on old Cast Against Type, which is what you can reach us at on Gmail. castagainsttype@gmail.com. Cast Against Type on IG. Cast Against Type Pod on the Tickings and
TikToks.
Talking, which is probably the most important thing. It's where all of you youngins are getting your valuable
Tiki-talkers.
information. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all the other things. And if you want to get our RSS feed, go to soundcloud.com/catpod. And you'll find our RSS feed. See, I can do it too.
You were doing an impression of him.
Oh, here we go. Anyway, you can find us where all of your fancy pods are found.
I'm like
please,
Mighty Mouse.
give us a shout.
You should block it out.
We appreciate your submissions. We need more of them. And honestly, engage with our questions, queries, concerns. Recommend, love, live, laugh, love, and get yourself some word art. Natalie, thanks again for joining us and allowing us to completely spring this on you last minute. We're always happy to have you. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you for listening, and until next time, get yourself a house in Akron. Wait, Arlington. Where was it? Indianapolis. Fuck it. Wherever they mentioned earlier.
I was just learning to love.